One day you're moving rocks with a skid loader from your driveway to your backyard. The next morning you go outside and you find a giant sinkhole where your driveway used to be. That happened to a man here in Colorado Springs, and it will happen again. Today I'm going to tell you about some neighborhoods in town that were built on top of abandoned coal mines that are at least at some risk of sinkholes. I'll tell you what you need to know if you own one of these homes, and I'll tell you what you might want to know if you're considering buying a home in one of these neighborhoods. My name's Kevin Wade. I'm a longtime real estate agent here in Colorado Springs. And if you have any real estate questions, reach out to me. I'll do my best to answer them. If you like this video, just give it a like. It lets YouTube know to share the video with people just like yourself. So let's dig into this. What causes these sinkholes to happen? It's called mine subsidence, and it's when an abandoned mine collapses and subsequently allows the soil above it to collapse. This causes sinkholes that can lead to some real structural problems. State experts estimate that there are between 3,000 and 4,000 homes and hundreds of businesses in Colorado Springs that are at least at some risk of structural problems or sinkholes because they're built on top of abandoned mines. So I spoke with the geologist from the state of Colorado, and I spoke with an inspector whose job it is to travel to places where homes are sitting on top of abandoned mines and assess their level of risk for mine subsidence issues or collapse or sinkholes. And I'll share what they found. Now, anywhere you have coal mining, you'll have mine subsidence. It happens in places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and brief history lesson, Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs was home to some pretty big coal mines and dozens of smaller mines, and they operated for about 80 years or so. Now, this coal was used by the residents of Colorado Springs to heat their homes, and it was used by the mining companies to process the gold ore that was being mined in Cripple Creek and processed here in Colorado Springs. Now, 80 years is a long time, and they dug some extensive mines in some parts of town. Most of the mining had stopped by the 1960s. And as the mines closed, in order to get as much coal as possible, the miners took out the coal pillars as they exited the mine. The pillars had been left in place to keep the mine safe from any potential collapses, and it was easy coal to remove, and the miners really didn't need it anymore since there was going to be no more mining. This left many of the largest rooms with little to no support, and the timbers that had been left behind eventually began to decay, meaning there was really nothing holding this ground up, and the mine started to collapse. When the mine collapses, the earth above it can eventually collapse too. This process can take decades, and it's still happening to this day. In fact, the inspector that I spoke to told me about a home that was sitting on top of a mine subsidence area, and they're actively monitoring it to see how much the earth is moving because the home's having some structural issues. Back in the 60s and all the way into the 90s, stories about homes with structural issues or mine subsidence issues, as it came to be called, were pretty common. People knew about it. People had worked in the mines. People were familiar with where they were, and people saw it. And as we've added residents to Colorado Springs by the hundreds of thousands, many people that live here don't know that we had mines. They don't know where they are. They haven't heard stories about mine subsidence or structural issues. And usually when they hear about a sinkhole, they associate it with a broken water main. So we have a lot of people that live here that don't know about it. And there are a lot of agents who are relatively new to the business who don't know about it as well and can't really speak to the extent of the mines in this area. So if the seller doesn't know the house sits on top of an abandoned mine and the real estate agents don't know, it's entirely possible you could end up buying the perfect home near the country club that has amazing Pikes Peak views and beautiful upgrades with flawless landscaping, and it sits directly on top of a mine. Not all of Colorado Springs sits on top of an abandoned mine, but as you can see in this graphic, the area is large, and it starts in Rock Rimmon, which sits on the northwest side of town, and it runs southeast to Craigmore and the Palmer Park area, which is considered central Colorado Springs. So this is a large area. Now, Levi Green was a longtime miner at the largest mine in Colorado Springs, and as he saw the development that was happening above the mine where he worked, he was shocked, and he was quoted as saying, They never should have built on that land. Now in rock rimming, most of the mines are mostly 200 to 500 feet deep, meaning the risk of mine subsidence is less than in neighborhoods like Craigmore or the homes southwest of Palmer Park, where a lot of those mines sit just below the surface. These are some highly sought after areas. Your homes in these neighborhoods start in the 350 to 400 range and can go all the way up to $1 million plus. And people love living there. They line up to buy these homes. In fact, over the last 6-7 years, buyers have really only had about 8 minutes to make a decision as to whether or not they wanted to buy a home or not. There were multiple offers, and a lot of due diligence and knowledge just kind of went out the window because people made a quick decision. And I guarantee there are people living in these neighborhoods that don't know their home is sitting on top of a mine. So what's their risk level? Well, the inspector said there are a couple of factors that go into this, like how far are you from the mine tunnels? How big were the mine tunnels? How deep were they? Have those mines already experienced some collapses, or are they still intact? The mine, has it flooded? Because if it's flooded, those timbers that are underground are probably still structurally sound. And if it's dried out, those timbers have most likely rotted and are no longer structurally viable. And again, that will collapse. So what's the overall risk for homes in these neighborhoods? Well, the Colorado Geological Survey puts some numbers out, and they don't have a high level of certainty to these, but they estimate that about 500 homes are at high risk for experiencing mine subsidence, sinkholes, structural issues. Another 200 plus that are at moderate risk, and there are about 2,000 homes that they consider to be low risk. This is where the Colorado Mine Subsidence Protection Program comes in. If your home was built before 1989, and most of the homes in these neighborhoods were, and you're sitting above an abandoned mine, you're probably eligible for the program. And I'll tell you how this works. You just give them a call, and they will send you out a packet of information. You'll take the forms that they send you, fill it out, send it back to them with a check. The check will be $235. It's $200 for the inspection and $35 for your first year of coverage. You will pay them an additional $35 over the next 2 years. So for a cost of $305 for the inspection and your first 3 years of coverage, you're enrolled for as long as you own the home. You don't ever have to send them another dime. You don't have to have any more inspections. If you have mine subsidence, you are covered. There are some caveats to the program. It does limit coverage to $100,000, which is double from where it had been. It had only been $50,000, but they did up that because a lot of people weren't participating. They just didn't see enough value in it. So I don't know if it'll stay $100,000 or if they will continue to increase that as home prices increase and building materials increase. But for right now, that's what you get. And I would encourage you to reach out to them if you have a home that's in the Craigmore, Palmer Park, Rock Rimmon area, and just get a feel for that program. Now, I have included some additional materials, and I've dropped those in the description. I guess the big thing I want you to take away is, if you're asking yourself, should you buy a home in one of these areas? Like I said, I've been a realtor for 20 years, and I bought one of those homes that sits over an abandoned mine. The home's been here for 60 years. I've never had any problems. I did enroll in the Mine Subsidence Protection Program. The inspector came out, and I got to pick his brain a little bit. He brought me maps of my home, of the streets in the area, and it was overlaid with information about the mines, where the mine tunnels ran, where the mine shafts were, and an overall risk level of, is my home at some risk for mine subsidence or not? And like I said, I want to provide you all the information that I use to make this video. So I'm going to include some links to articles, the Colorado Geological Survey. Reach out to them. Not all their information is available online. Some of it you have to actually go find it, but they have everything, and they're very helpful. The Mine Subsidence Protection Program is very helpful as well. They have some PDF maps that you can download, and if you download those, you can zoom in. They're high resolution, so you can zoom in all the way to your street level and maybe even your house, and see where your house is in relation to those mines. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. I like making videos that educate people and make them a better consumer when it comes to buying real estate in Colorado Springs. I'm thinking about making a video about a neighborhood that is built on top of toxic mill tailings that was so dirty that it was considered for an EPA Superfund site back in the day. So if you'd like to see that video, let me know. I'd love to make it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Take care. Have a great day.